Welcome back. In this week's video, I want to talk about how to lock down an iOS device or a Mac OS device using Addigy. So the first question is, why would we want to do this? Well, there are three scenarios we see as an MSP a lot. The first being if a user is just terminated and they want to make sure it's locked down when the termination occurs. The second being if a device is lost. And the third, if a device is stolen. Now, they all work the same way. They all have the same mechanism, and it's really quite easy if you have everything set up right ahead of time to lock these devices down quickly. The prerequisites to this are making sure that your devices are supervised. That's going to be the biggest thing. So if it's an iPad or iPhone, making sure that it is supervised using Apple Configurator, or ideally it's coming from Apple Business Manager, so it's coming in that supervised state. And if it's a Mac, that MDM is approved if you added the profile after the fact, or again, if it's set up in Apple Business Manager and was enrolled that way. If those things are true, then you can jump right into Addigy with no additional configuration once the device is enrolled and lock down a device. So let's walk through that. So in Addigy here, we're going to start with the Mac. You're going to go to the Go Live page of the device. And if we want to check to make sure that it is supervised and that it's going to get what it needs for the lock, we can check a couple things. One, we're checking that MDM is enabled. That's great. If you click on that, you can see that it's approved. That's the second thing we're going to need. And then third, if we type here, is supervised, we want to make sure that that's true. Once you've confirmed all of those, you can go to Device Commands and Lock Device. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to let you set a 6-digit code, and then you can also put a display message in there if you want. So Addigy will store this code for you, but I also recommend just making sure you write it down just to be on the safe side that you're going to remember it when you need it. Once you have all that information in there, you can click Lock Device. And if the device is already online, it will shortly go offline, and you'll be able to see in the events log that it went through. And you'll be able to go to the security tab and see that code in there. So if we take a look at that on a computer that I just recently locked, we can go in here and see that the device lock command was executed and it's got a check mark as its status. So that is telling us that the command did go through. And if we go down here, you can actually see the PIN number that we created. Now you can also see that same PIN number if you go to security and lock code. That is the same as well. So it is stored in those two places, but again, I always recommend recording it in a third place just to be on the safe side. So we'll hop over to see what that looks like then on the Mac. And basically the computer is going to reboot. So it is not just a filter on top of the current environment. The computer will actually reboot into a locked mode and say this: the Mac is locked. The system PIN is required to use this Mac. And that is where the user or you will enter that 6-digit code you created, and then it'll boot back up as normal. So this code is stored on device, so it will not actually need a network connection after the fact, so you don't have to worry about that. Next, moving on to iOS. And it's a very similar process. So what we want to check those same things, make sure MDM is enabled, and then search for is supervised, and that also equals true, so we're all good there. We can go up to device commands. So the locking down the devices is a little bit different language and works a little bit different on iPads and iPhones. Basically, you can lock the device here. You'll see that. What that does though is that just locks the screen. So that's not really getting us as deep of a lock as we're probably going to want. But what we can do is we can do lost mode. So if we go to lost mode here, you can enter a message, you can enter a phone number, and then it's going to ping the device on where it is, and we can do enable lost mode. So if we just walk through that, we can see enable lost mode, and it's going to send that to the device. And we can go into the logs here again and see that the device lost mode was enabled successfully. And what that would look like on the device itself is this. It will say that message and phone number that you put in there, and it'll say lost mode. And that's it. You'll have to disable that lost mode from the MDM after the fact. All you have to do to get it out of lost mode is to go to the device controls again, lost mode, and disable lost mode. You can also play the sound from here once it checks in, and you can see the device's location. Once you click disable lost mode, the next time the device checks in, it will be able to be used again. And you can always go into the events here and see that the iPad executed disable lost mode and that it cleared. I hope that was helpful and gets you on your way to securing your fleet even further. If you have any questions about this topic or using Addigy or MDM in general, we'd love to help you and your business come up with a solution for those. I can be reached on the Mac Admin Slack channel, Marshall_CIT, via email, marshall@cranstoninc.com, or on our website, cranstonit.com. Thanks so much for watching.